this is the anomalocaris. Approximately 540 million years ago, he would have been a top predator in the Cambrian seas. According to fossil records, he may have been able to grow up to 6 feet in length, and was predicted to be an incredibly fast and strong swimmer. These front limbs right here are believed to have been used to hold onto and bring prey closer to its mouth, which would have been right here in between its eye stalks. The front limbs also had on each segment like little spines or barbs that were used to like dig into the bodies of prey in order to keep it from like squirming or swimming away. The anomalocaris' mouth, which again would have been right here, instead of being a typical mouth, was a circle that had overlapping plates that would have been used to crush or grind up food rather than bite and tear. However, it's believed that its major food source probably would have been soft-bodied organisms or freshly molted trilobites, due to the fact that its mouth plates seem too weak and fragile to be able to get through the calcified plates of like a fully molted like trilobite. The oldest fossil records that we have for the anomalocaris were found in the Burgess Shale here in Canada, and is approximately 540 million years old. They're also sometimes found in South Australia, and we've been finding more and more there in shale deposits, like Emu Bay. The Cambrian era saw one of the biggest species diversity booms in the entire history of the planet. It's believed that this sudden increase in diversity was because of an increase in carbon and oxygen due to flourishing plant life, and obviously as that plant life decays, it releases more like oxygens and whatever into the water. Some of the creatures that the anomalocaris may have existed around would have been the Opabinia, the hallucinogenia, the Uwuknik, the Metasprigna, and of course trilobites. The anomalocaris is part of a extinct group of organisms known as radiodonts. Radiodont meaning like radiating mouth, which is basically any creatures that have a weird circular saw-like mouth rather than like a chomp mouth. It is also one of the predecessors and ancestors to arthropods. So this guy right here would have been the grandfather of my beloved horseshoe crab. A common like cousin of the anomalocaris that would have existed during its time would have probably been the Opabinia, which in the 90s was discovered to actually be related to this guy. Fossil records for the anomalocaris were kind of tricky. They were found in like they were originally first found in the mid to late 1800s. However, as they were only found in bits and pieces, and there were very few like full fossils of them to actually be able to put all of the pieces together. So common misconceptions were that its mouth plate was actually belonging to like a Cambrian jellyfish rather than just being like the crunchy parts of this freakish little shrimp. Its other body parts, like its head and its different like body segments, were believed to have belonged to other creatures, until eventually, which I believe it was about 100 years after it was like the first pieces of it were initially discovered, we were able to put all the pieces together and realize that they made this one creature instead of like 20 different creatures. And interesting fact about their eye stalks, which are these ones right here, these are why it's predicted to have been a predator, due to the fact that its eyes have so much range of motion and are like more so front facing rather than sideways facing. So it's able to like see. It's able to see what you're up to from the front and the side. We'd never actually had, I believe until the mid to late 1900s, we had never had an actual like fossil record of the eyes. We'd only had like vague imprints or outlines of them, because this, like, the eye stalk was significantly softer tissue than the rest of the body, and obviously soft tissue underwater decays very, very fast, so it was harder for it to leave like an actual imprint or a fossilized outline. And yeah, eventually we were able to find almost fully fossilized eye stalks that had fossilized really well, and it was kind of debated whether or not it belonged to the anomalocaris, because we had yet to actually get like solid evidence that this is what its eyes would have looked like. However, the paleontologists that had discovered it were like, well, they are way too big to belong to pretty much any other creature, and they vaguely fit the idea of what the anomalocaris' eyes would have looked like. So, yeah. The anomalocaris is a strange little guy for sure. And it might be like, well, why would you want to choose the anomalocaris as your final project specimen? And it's partially because the Cambrian era is a special interest of mine, as well as the fact that people are just really mean to him. Look at him and tell me that you want to be mean to him. I mean, I want to be mean to him. That's because he looks kind of dumb. But this guy right here has so many mean articles written about him, calling him a wimp and a worm sucker. Imagine being one of the cornerstones of evolution, one of the first species to ever exist on this planet, and you get called a worm sucker by your great possible grandkids. I would have my feelings hurt too. So yeah, the anomalocaris. What a lovely little guy.